the Mariners need to start giving me a reason why I should believe in this team going into the postseason. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the series analysis episode of the Seattle Baseline podcast. My name is Julian Smith, and I'm with Alex Hong. Well, I'm back, and this is my room right here, and it's great. So, Alex and I were in similar, or actually, we're in the same time zone until next week when I go back to State College to attend Penn State again. And it's awesome to actually have the same time zone and be able to film like this because it makes it so much easier when our schedules kind of line up at the same time to film. But before we get to Mariners, we need to brighten the mood a little bit. So, Alex, how have you been?
It's funny because we don't really, we talk, it seems like me and Julian are, talking a lot, but in fact, it's kind of difficult for us to see each other because he was across the country, his time zone's completely different. We're texting and we're recording at very awkward times because it's not like a 3 hour time zone from like the East Coast to the West Coast. It is Japan to Seattle. It's pretty bad, right, in terms of the time zone. So you have to record at really funny times. And at one point I was in Chicago, that was even a larger time gap. So, we end up situations where one of us are recording at like 1 a.m. or something like that, right? Which isn't ideal, but no, not much has changed for me. I've been pretty good. I was in Vancouver this past weekend, but now I'm back to Seattle, which, oh, yeah, pretty cool. How was
Okay.
Japan for you, though? I think that's a lot more interesting what I was doing.
Well, I think Vancouver is pretty interesting because of the food, but
Yeah.
Japan is also interesting because of the food. I went to a place called Sado, which is where you saw me in the yukata, also known as the kimono in America. In Japan, we call it the yukata, which is what I was wearing in one of the episodes. You guys can go back to one of the past 10 episodes, you will find it. Also, um, if you guys could give us a shout with all your friends and stuff, that'd be awesome. But honestly, when I went to Japan, I ate the best sushi I've ever eaten in my life because Sado is known for their fish, for their around water. Like they're basically an island and they're known for their salmon, but real sushi goers know that you don't eat sushi or salmon sushi when you go to like a counter sushi place. And so I ended up eating some gorgeous tuna, and that was like the best part of my whole trip. There were a lot of highlights in my trip, but I'd say that that sushi experience life changing. If you guys are ever considering going to Japan, Sado is a good place to go to.
Okay, where did you stay for the most part in Japan? Because you were there for a while, and you go there almost every year, I believe.
Yeah, I stayed with my grandparents in a place called Chiba, which is right next to Tokyo. So
Okay.
I got to experience the Tokyo part of it too. So it was great.
Ah, I see. All right.
Yeah. And a lot of you know what? There's a lot of people still wearing Mariners hats in Japan because of Ichiro. So that was cool to see too. I would go to like a golf driving range with my grandparents and I'd see someone wearing a Mariners hat. I thought it would be all Dodgers and like maybe White
Otani.
Sox. Yeah, White Sox because of Murakami, like maybe some Red Sox in there because of Yoshida, but I wasn't expecting there to be Mariners hats out there. So that was awesome. I had some conversations with some Mariners fans, and they don't really watch the Mariners anymore, but they love the Mariners, so that's a win.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably a good thing they're not watching the Mariners because I think now it's time to talk about the so-called Mariners who have been, let's just say this season is, disappointment is, I think understating how this season has gone. And this Tampa Bay Rays series, Julian, was, that was as bad as it could have gone, results-wise.
Um, actually, before we get to the Tampa Bay Rays series, there is a very, very sad part of Mariners history that just happened last week. For those of you who know that I am a Penn Stater, I guess I just mentioned it going back to Penn State, but Daniel Outerkirk from Single A Inland Empire has been released by the Seattle Mariners, and he was a lone Penn Stater other than what's that pitcher's name that hasn't played all season because of the injury? Man, I'm
Um,
blanking out.
yeah, I'm not sure who you're referring to.
The guy that was in the minors with Emerson Hancock and was like,
Evans, Logan
yeah,
Evans.
Logan Evans. He was a Penn Stater before transferring to Pittsburgh, so I did yell "We are" at him when when he was playing at one point. So
Oh,
that was that was super fun. But yeah, Daniel Outerkirk is not a Mariners pitcher anymore, and that's too bad because I love Penn State because we are.
yeah, I don't know how you found this out. This is hard news to get on a single A player being released. So that's actually pretty impressive how you found that, in my personal opinion. That's not something I would have came up with.
But the Mariners, you just talked about the Rays. They in the 50-year anniversary, they played like the team that they were in 50 years, hasn't been to a World Series. And they get swept by the Tampa Bay Rays. They hit decently, but the walks, we had 5 walks this entire series. So how are we supposed to beat the best so-called team in I guess not baseball, but the American League? How are we supposed to beat the best team in the American League with 5 walks?
And also, like, in the first game we scored 1 run, and that was off a home run. The second game we scored 2 runs. That was off of 2 home runs by Josh Naylor. And the third game we scored 1 run through to Cole Young, and that's it. Like, if we don't hit a home run, like I said, we've had this issue before, we don't do anything. We're not able to chain runs in, we're not able to do small ball, and it's partially because what you mentioned that we don't get walks. Not getting walks means we don't have people on base. So the times we do get a hit, it's like a single and that's it. Like there's no one advances, can't even get anyone to maybe third and then like a sac fly, right? You don't need to get a hit to score, right? You get someone on third and there's one out and you hit a fly ball, to the outfield, that's a run scored still, right? We can't have no ability to do that right now. And that's really a big problem because I don't even think our pitching was that bad. It was just our offense is so bad in scoring runs, which is the goal. I don't care if a team gets 13 hits every game if they only score 1 run. That's not a good offense because it doesn't matter. You need to score runs. That's really the most like important end result of the offense, and the Mariners have been really bad at that.
Yeah. If you're not getting on base, then your potential for getting runs is that much lower. The walks represent the strategy behind the batting. And if you're not walking, that means that your strategy is literally if we don't get a base hit, then we're not getting on base. That's what it tells me. They're not forcing the pitchers into the zone because pitcher just goes, okay, we're gonna throw a changeup down and away, and we're gonna strike him out because just gonna swing. You don't need to go in the zone if they're just gonna swing at everything you throw at them. And it goes back to the forced walks because I think we've talked about this on previous episodes, but it really goes back to that. If you're not forcing the pitcher to adapt to your style, to your ability to see the ball, if the pitcher just thinks that you're a AAA offense, they're just going to throw changeups down and away, sliders down and away. They're just going to get you out without throwing strikes. And the Mariners need to stop swinging. And at this point, they're really not giving me the confidence to say, "Hey, we can go beat the Yankees, the Cubs, the Brewers, the Astros." How are we supposed to do that with an offense that doesn't get walks, doesn't see the ball well enough to score if your star players aren't hitting homers?
Yeah. Like for the walks thing you mentioned, I'll just add on some numbers. We're at the bottom third of the league in walks, which is really bad for a team that's trying to do something on offense, right? And it sucks because last year we were actually seventh in terms of walks per nine. So our team was actually pretty good at walking the ball. And you can notice that last year we were a lot better at that as well. This year, it's just not happening. And I told you about how we lose faith in this team. Like if we're losing and it's the seventh inning, I have very little confidence in this team anymore, which is a problem because even in years past where the offense was bad, I remember 2021 offense was bad. We missed the playoffs. But we were close to making the playoffs, and that team was playing a lot better than this year's team because that team was clutch. That team had the ability, although it had a lot better bullpen, which helps compared to this year's team. But it was a team that was able to string stuff together at the perfect time in order to actually score runs, even though they have a terrible batting average. And I know batting average is everything, but that team had terrible numbers all around, but they were able to do stuff when it mattered and chain stuff in together. This team, the stats don't look terrible, but the result is terrible because there's no cohesion, right? Getting one hit every inning doesn't do anything. It's useless because you're not going to score.
There's When I talk about the forced walks, there's really two options. You either hit the ball so well that they're forced to try to walk you instead of trying to like let you hit something, not giving you a chance, or you are so good at fouling off pitches and walking that they are forced to give you a cookie that you can just smash out of the ballpark. So you either get really good at the home run ball and you can start walking because the pitchers don't want to give up the home run, or you get so good at walking that the pitchers are forced to give up the home run to you. And that's the Mariners do neither. They're a home run team that doesn't do enough of the walking side to actually get the home run ball. And that there's no way you're going to succeed against that. You're not going to hit a single against a ball that's three balls out of the strike zone most of the time. That's if you're like Ichiro and you actually do, then you're an anomaly. That is why he's a Hall of Famer. Not everybody does that. Most people, if you throw it in the strike zone, that's the time when you strike. And the Mariners currently aren't doing that. But let's talk about the Yankees series because I think this one's actually interesting. The Yankees are actually without Aaron Judge, without Cody Bellinger. Those are the two players that are out right now. And all things considered, this is the version of the Mariners. If they want to win, if they if there's any series where the Mariners can actually pull off a win against the next upcoming series with the Brewers, the Phillies, the Astros, the Cubs, it's the Yankees because we face the worst part of their rotation and we have two of their best players out right now.
Yeah, I mean, usually when you think of Yankees, you think of Aaron Judge, right? That he is their best player, right? And then this year, Cam Schlittler has been amazing. He leads the league in or no, it leads the league in the correct direction of ERA. Not obviously if you led the league in number, like how high your number is, that's not. He has the lowest ERA in the American League, right? But we don't have to go against him, which is good. We still do have to go against Max Fried, who's pretty good. But then some of their other pitchers were against Ryan Weathers, Will Warren are not as good. So we go against the weaker part of their rotation. They still have a good bullpen. Their closer, David Bednar, has been pretty good. They got some other names there, right? The main thing is, though, that their offense, like you said, is severely injured. No Aaron Judge right now, he's injured. Cody Bellinger, regardless of what you think about him, he's actually been playing pretty good this year. He's still on the injured list. Other names you might be familiar with, like Stanton, he's still on the injured list. But they have a few players I think we should worry about. in particular. Um, they just got Luis Garcia, right? He's been good for the Yankees so far. So that's a name to look out for right after the trade. And then also another guy I want to mention is Ben Rice. He's been amazing. He has like 33 home runs, I believe, and around a 900 OPS. So that's another guy we should look out for, who is usually not that big of a name. He's not a guy you usually think of when you think Yankees.
Well, I guess Ben Rice is like the prospect that's finally starting to bloom for them.
Hmm.
He's kind of starting to look like the next guy to Aaron Judge, the Juan Soto to Aaron Judge. And he's shown it this year. This is the year where he's blossoming. And but other than Ben Rice, I don't really see much. Like Luis Garcia in the past week hasn't been very good. He was good with the Nationals, but I don't know if he's been that good with the Yankees. So right there, I see an issue with the Yankees offense, and that could be an advantage for the Mariners, especially because looking at the pitching staff that we're rolling out, this is Brian Wu, Road Wu, not Home Wu, who's been notoriously bad this year. We have Bryce Miller, um, whose velocity dropped, and all of a sudden he's not the same guy as he was at the start of his season. And then Logan Gilbert, the guy who's pretty good, he's starting to come back down to earth from the all-star version that we saw right before the all-star break. But still, this is probably our best guy this year. But he's facing Max Fried. So where do I find the confidence in this? The one part that I think there's confidence is that on paper, well, I guess I hate to say on paper because that implies that in reality it's different, but the Mariners have a better batting order this year than what the Yankees are going to roll out in this series. And that's really where I see the advantage for the Mariners, and the fact that we don't have to face the two top pitchers for the Yankees. Well, their top pitcher and their third guy, Garrett Cole, we don't have to face. So that's great. I think the Mariners hold a advantage here, but I don't know where I can find the confidence to say that the Mariners can beat anybody. For all I know, the Mariners could lose to the Colorado Rockies at this point.
Yeah, I mean, like on paper, this is perfect because we're against the Yankees that they're vulnerable, right? The Mariners aren't too vulnerable right now, in my opinion, right? They got a lot of their players back. So this team should be able to do some damage despite the Yankees been playing pretty good this season and having a pretty good record. But once again, this Mariners team bodes very little confidence in us to do anything. Like, just thinking back to the Rays series, right? That second game, right? The Rays, this was also the game where they had all those Mariners like players in the 50-year celebration, right? That was on Saturday. The Saturday game, everyone was there. Everyone was watching in terms of like greats like Griffey, Randy Johnson, all those guys, Ichiro, they brought them all back, right? They're all watching the game, and we put up that performance against a Rays bullpen game. The Rays opener was Casey Lagumina. The game should have been over in the first inning, in my opinion, right? Like, if we had to put Casey Lagumina out there for an opener, we would definitely lose the game, but we did nothing. We weren't able to do anything. And if it wasn't for Josh Naylor, that it would have been one of the worst offensive performances ever, I think. So it just like there's nothing that we say this a lot in this podcast, but there's nothing for me that the Mariners have done to bode any confidence that anything's going to change unless I see it. And I have no confidence that's going to happen, and I'll hope it happens. But from the looks of it, I can't see it happening. I think the Yankees, they're definitely any team I think is more clutch than the Mariners. The Yankees, even if they're struggling, they're going to figure out a way, I think, to get some stuff, chain some hits together, and that I don't think the Mariners can do.
Yep. I agree with you, and this is an interesting series because if the Mariners can win against the Yankees hypothetically, and then we go to the Astros and we can win or possibly sweep the Astros, we're right back in it. So the Mariners still have a chance. It's not like the Mariners are completely out. It's just that the Mariners are like incredibly close to being out, and they have completely shattered the fan base's confidence. And I'm just hoping the Mariners can hold their own against the Yankees. I want them to incite some confidence. Even if they don't win the series, I want the Mariners to come out of this series saying, "Hey, we still have a shot at the wild card, or we still have a shot at winning the American League West crown." If they can do that, I think that's a win.
I mean, I don't think we have a shot for the wild card, to be honest. And it sucks because last year, at this point in the year, we were talking about the standings, right? Because the Mariners were actually above 500 and doing okay, right? We're talking about, oh, this, we need to do this to win the division. Now we're in a chance where we're so bad, we have basically no chance of winning the division, I'd say. Um, I mean, I guess, or no shot of making the wild card. I mean, to be honest, we still probably could make the wild card because the Central isn't that great either. But the best chance we have would probably still be the division. And it sucks because this division is trash. This is the year where, if you remember back in like the year the Mariners decided to start their rebuild, that was the year where you had to have like 96 or 97 wins to make the playoffs because the AL was so good. This year, the AL sucks, right? So the Mariners, it sucks that they can't take advantage of it. And maybe the AL sucks because the Mariners are also in the AL and they're contributing to, the not so good baseball performances out there. But yeah, we're 4.5 games back behind Houston, and like you said, it could all change, right, in the upcoming series we have against Houston, but we just need to survive this month. I feel like the most likely shot for the Mariners if they want to make the playoffs is they need to survive this gauntlet that they're going to experience in August. And after the Red Sox series and into the September, it's going to be smooth sailing because it's going to be a lot of Athletics, a lot of Angels, and a lot of Rockies. And that's
Yep.
kind of they kind of need to stay afloat. Don't fall too behind. If they keep falling down the rankings or the standings, then it might be impossible to get out by September. But we need to realistically do our best to try to stay afloat and then have a dominant September. And I think that's the most likely path we can have.
Yeah. And we we want your help here because as much as the Mariners season sucks and we are hating on the Mariners here, we love doing this podcast, and I would love if you guys could talk to your friends about us, and we'd love to grow the channel here. So um, thank you everyone who has been watching for a while. We see Army Chow Mein and we see um, Alexa out there in the comments all the time. We're starting to see some new faces in the comments. It's been super awesome. But let us know in the comments what you guys think. And also Army Chow Mein, that KBO guy that you were talking about, we will absolutely talk about him in the off season after the Mariners go and win the World Series. So stay tuned on that. And let us know in the comments what you guys think, because I'm sure that there are a lot of thoughts going on with the Mariners season right now, and 2026 is still alive. So thank you everyone for tuning in. Check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and our beautiful faces on YouTube. Check out our Instagram. And as always, go Mariners.
Go Mariners.